Welcome to the first part in a new video series entitled Understanding Islam. Today there are many issues facing the United States and other countries around the world. We hear of the economic disaster, the global warming, we hear about the healthcare issue, immigration. We hear about many issues today that pose a serious problem for the people of this country and the country as a whole. What these video series are going to do is to detail the true threat to this country. That threat, Islam. Now, notice I did not say radical Islam. I did not say extremist Muslims. I didn't say fundamentalists. I said Islam. Over and over and over again, in the media, in books, videos on YouTube, documentaries, even by well-learned people on the subject of Islam, continue to name the threat as radical Islam, extremist Islam. The fact is, it is the religion and the political system of Islam. It's a misnomer to say Muslims such as Osama bin Laden, Ayman al-Zawahiri, and others such as Nadal Malik Hassan, the Fort Hood shooter, the Times Square bomber, the underwear bomber, not to mention 1,400 years of jihadists. It's a misnomer to say that these people are radical. That's like saying Mother Teresa was a radical Christian. Mother Teresa simply believed in living up to, fulfilling the commands of Jesus Christ in the Bible. Would we call Billy Graham a radical, or would we say that he is trying to fulfill the Great Commission in spreading the good news to all nations and peoples? Why is it then we have this dichotomy when it comes to naming the constituents of a religion? In Christianity, we call those who are following the Bible Christians, good Christians. However, when it comes to naming the jihadists, immediately we say the radical Muslims, the extremists, the Muslims who are twisting the Quran to meet their agenda. My friends, those terrorists, jihadists that I named, they're not radicals. They're not extremists. They're simply being good Muslims, following the commands and dictates of their prophet Muhammad, who 1,400 years ago commanded his followers to subjugate all people who do not submit to Islam, who do not say that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah and Muhammad is his prophet. In the end, anyone who does not say that is to be killed, period. So these, quote, terrorists, these, quote, radical Muslims, please, let's dispense with the politically correct nomenclature. They're simply good Muslims. If we are unable to correctly name the enemy, and yes, I did say enemy, they are an enemy to anyone who does not submit to their religion. If we are unwilling to name the enemy, how then are we to fight the enemy? I believe once we have people, if we have people in this government who will finally have courage of their conviction. Their morals and ethics will be such that they will not succumb to political correctness, and they will name the enemy for what it is. And that enemy, once again, is Islam. Period. If and when we ever have leaders who will be willing to name the enemy and who will not kowtow to the threats and the intimidation and the fear tactics employed by Islam, which, again, those started 1433 years ago with the Prophet Muhammad. And it's been a vehicle, an instrument of Islamic spread and conquest throughout 1400 years. And it works brilliantly. It works brilliantly. Unless we're ever able to name the enemy, understand its tactics, and be willing to stand up against it, you can kiss America goodbye. While we Americans are on our iPhones, on our Facebook, watching movies, playing games, video games, taking trips, while we Americans are living the good life with not a care in the world, even after 9/11. Around the clock, there are Muslims in this country who are plotting, planning, and training to destroy this country, both physically through a military jihad, as well as stealthily through what the Muslim Brotherhood calls a cultural jihad. That being infiltrating our government, our security agencies, our educational institutions, from the elite universities in this country all the way down to the elementary schools. The sad thing is, it's not a plan they have in the future. It has already taken place, and it continues to flourish, once again primarily due to political correctness and an ignorance of Islam. All one must do is simply study the history of Islam, the spread of Islam, and the tactics employed by Islam to achieve its goal of world domination. All one must do is take a little bit of time and study its history, study its doctrine, study the Quran, study the Hadith, or the traditions of Muhammad, study the tafsir, or the commentary on the Quran, as well as the Sirah, which is the biography of Muhammad, the Sirat Rasulullah, or the Life of Muhammad by Ibn Ishaq, which was translated by Ibn Hisham and then later translated into English by Alfred Guillaume, is available on Amazon, in bookstores. It's about an 800-page book which details the life of Muhammad. It is Islam's earliest extant detailed biography of the Prophet Muhammad. It is laborious reading. It is gruesome reading. But to understand Islam, you must understand Muhammad. And to understand Muhammad, you need to read the biography of Muhammad as well as the Hadith and the Quran. If and when people are willing to put aside their toys, their playthings, their leisure, and dig into a little bit of research and study on the topic of Islam and Muhammad, if and when people do that, we may then be able to turn this country back around, understand this enemy that threatens to destroy her, and dispense with political correctness, and get our country back to where I think most Americans want it to be. Most people today, after 9/11, have picked up a few Arabic terms out of Islam, Muslim, mosque or masjid, Taliban, Mujahideen, Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah. There's another word that's even more prominent than that most people, I believe, know today. It's called jihad. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there's a two-part jihad which Islam employs, which is taking place around the world and in America today. Again, you have the physical military jihad, and you have the stealth or cultural jihad. Now, Muslim apologists in the West today, such as Ibrahim Hooper, the spokesman for CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is an unindicted co-conspirator to Hamas terror funding. When Muslim spokespeople or Muslim apologists here in the West get on the media, they employ a technique known as al-taqiyya, or deception. Again, this is a unique form of deception which was devised and codified by, once again, the Prophet Muhammad over 1400 years ago. Along with jihad, fear, intimidation, deceit, or al-taqiyya, is the primary modes of spreading Islam, which al-taqiyya works on the ignorance of the non-Muslims, which today in America the overwhelming majority of people are absolutely ignorant about what Islam is and what its goal is, which is once again to destroy their country, America. But not just America. Islam's goal is world domination. Muslims have been and continue to infiltrate Canada, trying to bring about Sharia law. England, Australia. There's no country that is exempt from the spread of Islam, because Muhammad said that he has been ordered to fight the people. That means all people, until they say La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, which simply translates into there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. He has been ordered by his God, Allah, to fight the people.